currently binge watching Zoella. I never really watched her, and now I'm just watching everything for some bizarre reason, and I'm quite enjoying it. Hello everyone, welcome back. If you have not been here before, my name is Debbie and I read a lot of books. I've got an audiobook for you today which I really enjoyed listening to. I am looking forward to talking to you about this book. It is Confessions of a 40-something fuck-up by Alexandra Potter, and the audiobook was read by Sally Phillips. That is your front cover. I think the fact that Sally Phillips narrated it as well helped, but I just loved this. This was just so good and so funny and just had everything that you want. Let's get it with that blurb, shall we? Nell Stevens' life is a mess. When her business goes bust and her fiancé with it, Nell's happy ever after in California falls apart and she moves back to London to start over. But a lot has changed since she's been gone. All her single friends are now married with children, sky-high rents force her to rent a room in a stranger's house, and in a world of the perfect Instagram lives, she feels like a fuck-up. Even worse, a 40-something fuck-up. But when she lands a job writing obituaries, Nell meets the fabulous Cricket, an 80-something widow with the challenges of her own, and they strike up an unlikely friendship. Together they begin to help each other heal their aching hearts, cope with the loss of their lives they had planned, and push each other into new adventures and unexpected joys. Because Nell is determined. Next year things are going to be very different. It's time to turn her life around. Nell, Penelope Stevens, is 40-something and she's just realised that her life has just decided to upend itself while in her mid-40s, to the point where she feels like a fuck-up. She feels like everything's gone wrong. Obviously her relationship has fallen apart, her business has fallen apart, she's back home and she does not feel like her life is together. And she creates a podcast which she calls Confessions of a 40-something fuck-up, which she doesn't really put her name to, she doesn't tell any of her friends about it, it's just something for her to get through. And I really like the fact that in each chapter when she's doing the podcast, she just like things that she's grateful for. And I must admit, I have to make a comment of just how it ends. There's an obituary at the end, which I thought was absolutely brilliant. Probably seems a really strange way to talk about an obituary, but when you've read this book you'll understand what I mean. I think people of any age can kind of identify with Nell and, you know, that year that just everything falls apart. I know my family has a year that everything went wrong. I met somebody else recently in a waiting room where she was sharing all her woes, and we were just like, you know, eventually you will come out the other side of it, but you're allowed to wallow in the absolute shitness of it all when it's all going down. And so yeah, even though I'm 35, well, soon to be 36, I'm not that far off, I felt like I kind of identified with Nell in a way of that whole thing of like not knowing what the future holds. Not completely with the whole fuck up thing. Well, to be fair, the year that I identify with Nell was actually my late 20s probably. Mid to late 20s was when I had a bit of a moment. People are going, oh, well then it's not really the same, is it? It's just like, yeah, but, you know, I think we all have something that we can look back on and just think that was not a good year. And this year for Nell is not a good year. But I really loved how just the friendship that she has with Cricket. I can't remember if we've actually ever given Cricket's real name. But yes, she goes to Cricket's house because she's writing an obituary of Cricket's husband, who is a playwright. And through finding out about the husband who died and putting together this obituary, just Nell and Cricket's friendship really blossoms. And I just really, really enjoyed reading about their friendship and Nell's life. Like, you hear little bits about her previous life and compared to where she is now. And it's just fabulous. I will say that for anybody who likes stuff like Bridget Jones's Diary and Miranda, it's right up your alley if you like those. And it's just a coincidence, the fact that Sally Phillips was in both Miranda and Bridget Jones, but it does feel like very closely kind of in that same vein. I definitely see the connection with Bridget Jones, with the idea of, because obviously in Bridget Jones's Diary, Bridget Jones was an editor, wasn't she, in publishing, and in this case Nell is a writer, so I really was seeing some similarities with Bridget Jones. Admittedly, I've never actually read the Bridget Jones books, but I do love the movie, so maybe that's something I could look into at some point, reading the books. Yeah, I just thought it was so good, so funny. I loved the podcast element of seeing Nell creating the podcast and how that is incorporated into the book. Obviously, I think that worked very well as an audiobook. Obviously, I don't know how that's done in written form, but as an audiobook, it really worked well with the podcast elements. And just seeing her journey, it was just such a good book. I just so enjoyed it. And it's got your heartwarming bits, it's got your heartbreaking things. Like, you really feel for Nell, and you really... at least I identified with Nell in a certain way, especially when she thinks about having children and whether that's something that she's missed, you know, and the idea of becoming the best auntie she can be. I really enjoyed the way that Nell was portrayed, because, you know, she identifies as a mess, but then you also see that, so I'm just very aware of my fridge doing really strange things today. But yeah, I just really like the fact that it really looks into the fact that Nell thinks her life is a mess, but then you also see that other people think that she's a bit more put together. And so it's just that whole thing that's just like, nobody else knows what you're going through. And whereas you might feel like a fuck up and a mess, not everybody else will see that. So it really just drives home the fact that, you know, only you really know what's going on. And there is a point towards the end when things with the podcast change slightly, and she does find out what her friends thought that she was getting up to and what she was doing and where she is in her life. And that was kind of maybe a bit emotional hearing how her friends thought about Nell, because Nell was at a point where she's just like, all my friends are married, had kids, and I thought I would be there, but I'm not. And yeah, it was just, I found it quite poignant, really. As somebody who has chosen a path of potentially not having children. I think I've shared this before, you know, I don't think anybody should be judged for not wanting to have children. I don't think it's a selfish thing, and that people should be allowed to make that choice for themselves. My personal choice is that I love being an auntie. I love being the best auntie I can be. I also like being able to give it back. I love you, Lisa. I love you so much. But for me, I don't think children are on the cards for me, and that's fine. And I just like the fact that looking at Nell's story, it does do that thing of just saying, you know, children aren't for everybody, and the fact that Nell can be the best auntie she can be. And yeah, I enjoyed that. I liked that it confirmed a few things for me. Yeah, I'm getting emotional. The duration of the book is 11 hours and 54 minutes. I read it on around 1.5 speed. I'm quite a fast reader, which means I'm also quite a fast listener. And it's in contemporary general and romance fiction. And it says this ebook was released in 2020. Yeah, I very much admit that I think that fans of Bridget Jones and Miranda would really enjoy this. I've actually recently gotten, for Christmas, I got Miranda Hart's new book. I'm very much looking forward to getting into that and reading it, because I just love Miranda. I loved her since the days of her being on Not Going Out as Barbara. I thought she was brilliant as Barbara on Not Going Out.
Oh, I don't know, look under B for boyfriend.
Don't be stupid. Just keep me under C for client.
Not for client, no.
But yeah, I really felt the comparisons with the film of Bridget Jones, at least in it. And yeah, it was just brilliant. And Sally Phillips is a genius. I think she's so good. I think she's a wonderful actress, and she just has a voice that just brings you in. Yeah, it was brilliantly read by Sally Phillips. Confessions of a 40-something fuck up by Alexandra Potter. Target audience adult. Very much target audience adult. But yeah, you just see her going back on like the dating scene and stuff. So yeah, I mean, I keep mentioning Bridget Jones, but it really just gives me that vibes, and I love the Bridget Jones films, I'll admit that. I will look into reading the books at some point and share my journey with that, especially because the new film's coming out soon, so I'm going to have to just go back and watch all the films in preparation for the new film, aren't I? But yeah, I thought it was so good. I really enjoyed the audiobook. I definitely recommend it. So yeah, thanks for watching, mates. Got about 3 minutes left on the timer, so that's good. I'm trying to time it so I don't talk forever. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not already, and I will see you next time with another video. Stay safe. I love you all. Bye.